It takes half a second for dropped reading glasses to slide under the sofa. That minor slip completely halts a daily routine. The immediate instinct is to find a way to get them back. That usually means dragging over an unstable footstool, climbing on a chair, or bending in ways our knees and lower backs no longer tolerate. These forced, awkward movements create an unnecessary spike in the risk of a severe fall. A quality grabber tool acts as an independence multiplier. It bridges the physical gap between limited mobility and routine tasks, allowing you to stay securely seated or planted on your feet. This checklist shows how daily frictions add up. Retrieving dropped glasses, pulling a can from a high shelf, or picking up laundry. Each time a task is checked off using a reaching tool, the statistical risk of household injury measurably decreases. Getting a television remote or reaching a clean towel shouldn't require trading away your physical safety.
When seniors or their adult children realize a tool is needed, the next step is often logging online and buying the first generic model that pops up. But buying an uncalibrated tool often creates entirely new problems. The most common mistake is assuming that maximum reach length is the only feature that matters. It seems logical that a longer tool would solve more problems, but choosing a grabber based strictly on maximum length frequently introduces rapid shoulder fatigue. Users find themselves struggling to hold the tool steady for even basic tasks. This happens because of musculoskeletal leverage. The further away you hold an object from your body, the heavier it feels to your shoulder and elbow joints. A half-pound can of soup feels much heavier when it's suspended at the end of a long stick. A mobility aid matched poorly to the user's physical reality accelerates exhaustion instead of preventing it. This matrix breaks down trade-offs between the 32-inch and 43-inch models. With the 43-inch column, you gain maximum reach, but increased leverage makes your shoulder muscles work harder. Shifting to the 32-inch grabber, physical cost drops. It provides optimal control and minimal shoulder extension. There are specific exceptions where the standard size fails. For wheelchair users, a 32-inch reach is physically insufficient to get from a seated lap up to standard kitchen shelving. Exceptionally tall seniors also face a unique problem. They require the 43-inch model simply to prevent microbending, those slight, repetitive downward curves of the spine needed to retrieve items from the floor. Tool length isn't a measure of how capable the device is. It's a measure of the physical output it demands from the person holding it. Moving away from the shaft of the tool, we have to look at the handle. Maximum reach is entirely useless if you can't securely engage the grip once you get there. A traditional squeeze handle mechanism relies almost entirely on localized, raw finger strength to pull the lever and hold it shut. For users with compromised hand strength, an ergonomic trigger handle provides a necessary alternative. In this vector diagram, notice how the physical effort differs. The standard squeeze handle concentrates the required pulling force tightly onto 2 fingers. The ergonomic trigger model disperses that exact same force broadly across the entire palm and the strongest parts of the hand. That mechanical force dispersal is the absolute deciding factor for anyone managing arthritis or recovering from post-surgery weakness. It shifts the burden away from vulnerable joints. For arthritic users, hand fatigue poses a much more immediate threat to their independence than a limitation on vertical reach. Down at the working end of the tool, the mechanics dictate how well you can retrieve items trapped in awkward spaces. A 360-degree rotating head is essential here. By twisting the jaws to match the angle of the object, you avoid contorting your wrist into a painful position when reaching behind heavy couches or under beds. The material on those jaws matters. High-quality silicone coatings provide enough grip to pinch tiny, irregular objects, like a dropped pill, securely against a hard surface. For flat metal objects that even rubber jaws struggle to pinch from a flat floor, magnetic tips provide a distinct utility. They easily collect dropped keys or scattered coins. Specialized high-friction jaws bridge the gap between large-scale reaching and fine motor precision. They eliminate the need to physically handle every small dropped item. To cut through the decision fatigue, we can synthesize these features to match the exact tool to your reality. This flowchart maps out the decision based on one core question: what is the primary physical limitation you need to offset? For the average height senior seeking daily assistance with general aging and bending, the recommendation is the 32-inch model with a lightweight shaft. The trade-off for this group is straightforward.
You sacrifice access to the highest shelves in order to guarantee zero fatigue usability for constant daily tasks, like picking up laundry and grabbing the remote. If you are a wheelchair user or a very tall senior, the recommendation shifts. You should prioritize the 43-inch extended model. Here, the trade-off flips. You gain the necessary vertical and floor reach, but you must manage slightly more tool sway and leverage weight. Finally, for users with arthritis or a weak grip, length is completely secondary. Prioritize a tool that features the ergonomic trigger handle and silicone jaws. Purchasing a mobility aid is never about finding the objectively best tool on the market. It is about finding the specific tool that perfectly offsets a personal friction point. Matching a user's physical profile directly to the right mechanical specifications prevents the introduction of new physical strains. The correct grabber tool removes the anxiety from daily routines, turning a hazardous, frustrating environment back into a manageable home. True long-term independence comes from clearly acknowledging physical limitations and then outsmarting them with precisely calibrated tools.